Hey guys, welcome to Attachment Authority with Jesse Rast here from Jesse Rast Enterprises. Hope everybody's having a great day today. I know I am. What I'm mainly going to be focusing on is attachments, equipment, and how these items work in real life situations. You know, we're going to talk about all of that jazz, okay? The main focus or group of people that I'm trying to focus on this podcast is going to be farming guys, contractors, weekend warriors, small landowners, large landowners, dealers, dealer sales guys, a little bit of everybody, you know. The main focus of this first podcast is going to be talking about what are 5 items that are necessary for property management. What are the, if I were to go to the dealership and I'm going to buy 5 things, I got me 100 acres, let's say, of land, and I want to maintain this land. What are the 5 core items that I want to buy, you know? And why do I want to buy those items, you know? What are the good? What are the bads? What are the things I need to look for? Understanding these items. Well, just real quickly, I'm going to talk about 5 of these items. So to start with, we'll talk about grapples, our number 1 item here, okay? Now, a grapple's a grapple, right? Well, no, a grapple's not just a grapple. There's 2 different style grapples. There is a grapple rake, and there is a root grapple. Now, what are the differences in the 2, and why do I need one over the other, okay? So, if you're just picking up, for instance, you're on your farm or your land or property or whatever, and you just want to go pick up limbs and maybe debris left over from a storm and that kind of stuff. You know, you're not really worried about dirt being tied up in it. You're going to more go after the root style grapple and that grapple is more designed with a clamshell look on it. Okay, so it's got a rounded bottom like a bucket and it's got a clam on top. Okay, so that's going to be that application. Now a root grapple, okay, that's going to be when you got some new property, you know, let's say you're making some hunting lanes, okay, for instance, and you need to kind of rake that debris up and grab it more in this fashion, you with me, and get all the dirt out of it, pile it on a pile, let's say you want to burn it, for that application, or you're a contractor, man, and you just mulched all your ground up, and you know, or either you've used your excavator and stumped everything and run your bulldozer through there, and you need a root rake grapple to kind of rake through those leftover pieces of stick and stubble and all that, and get that material out and pile up as well. So, you know, determining which grapple you need is a big deal, you know. So that's the big difference between a root grapple and a grapple rake. So that'll be a choice that you make when you go into the dealership or you call me, is which application are you going to be using? Are you be just doing debris and stuff that's out in the yard and picking up logs, and you're going to go with a root grapple? And if you're going to be wanting to sift the dirt out of the product, you know, then you're going to go with a grapple rake. So those are the 2 different main differences, and one of the main items that you really need in your products for your land maintenance. Okay, getting number 2, box blade. Box blade is a big deal. Box blade or a land leveler. What's the difference? Okay, well, to put it real simple, you know, a box blade is for moving dirt, okay? A box blade moves dirt into holes, okay? You can add scar firing teeth on there to kind of break up the hard pin a little bit and help level. A box blade also, you know, is used for somebody that's more established and understanding of how to level land, you know. It's more aggressive, for a lack of a better word, you know, when you're leveling. Now, a land plane or a land leveler is more forgiving. It's more of like if you got property that's already level, it's more of a maintenance tool. You follow me? It's quick, fast, easy to operate. They come in all different widths. You know what I mean? They all of these hook to a 3-point hitch. You know, so when choosing whether you want a box blade or a land leveler or land plane, as I would call it, you know, you need to determine what you got going on. Do you have a bunch of holes that you need to fill up, or do you have a property that's pretty level and flat, and you just want to maintain that and take that land plane and run over it, So those are some big things to know about when choosing that item. But it is a very necessary item for property maintenance. It really is. One or the other. Sometimes in some fashions you need both. And I've got both of them. The third item on my list is a rotary cutter. It's a rotary cutter or a flail mower, not flail, excuse me. Rotary cutter or a finishing mower is what I meant to say. So a rotary cutter, let's talk about that a little bit. Why do you use a rotary cutter? A rotary cutter is going to be for your heavier duty material, bigger bushes, saplings, up to 1, 2, 3 inch material. We do have rotary cutters that go on up, in how big a material it actually cuts. So that's going to be more of a rough cut kind of deal. With property, you always have that one place in the back, man, that's like, I don't need it to be finished. I don't need it to be really like manicured like I would my lawnmower, but I just need to run over with the old rotary cutter, bush hog, and just get it down. You know what I mean? Now, a finishing mower. Let's talk about a finishing mower. So, finishing mowers are more for more precise cut, for guys that are wanting to manicure their property really nicely, just like you would a zero-turn mower, just like you would a push mower. It's got a high tip speed. It does a really finished, nice, pristine job. And finishing mowers, come in a 6-foot model, and they go all the way up to 20-foot pull type models. So determining what style rotary cutter, what style cutter you need is a big deal in property maintenance for your property, and which one works better for you. And you may find out that, hey man, I might need both. I need a rotary cutter, a little small one to kind of cut the back area, and then I need a finishing mower to do some of my bigger property. You might have 2 or 3 acres of open land, and you're like, man, I don't really want to, use a 6-foot unit. I might want to use a 12-foot pull type or a 15-foot pull type finishing mower, man. I mean, like, there's a lot of options there and a lot of things to think about, and I carry all those. So that's another necessity that in one of the items you need for property maintenance. Bucket. Let's talk about a bucket. A bucket is very important. Bucket seems like such a basic item. What can I tell you about a bucket? I mean, obviously, a bucket's you're gonna use to kind of grade stuff. You're gonna level ground with it. You're going to carry dirt with it. You're gonna throw stuff in it. You're gonna do all that with it. But what do you need to know about a bucket? Well, you need to know a couple things. You can get a general purpose bucket, goes on the front of your skid steer or your tractor, and it can have you can have them with replaceable edges. You can have them with replaceable side cutters. Now, why do you need that? Why do you need replaceable edges? Well, if you buy a traditional bucket and it's just got a weld-on edge, then the bucket wears out, you go buy another bucket, or you got to cut it and put another one on there or whatever, like that. So if you put on a bolt-on edge or bolt-on side cutters, those are the items that are touching the dirt first, so they wear first. So I'm not going to say that it's going to eliminate you buying another bucket, but I will say it's going to prolong the life of your bucket, So I would say if, to get a bucket, for sure, and for your property management and maintenance, but make sure you look at those two things. Look at them side cutters and look at that replaceable bolt-on edge. I think for the little bit of money it is, that's something to really think about, and it's just a simple thing, You just need to ask your local dealer about that item, that bolt-on edge, then bolt-on side cutters. I mean, why not add it? You're already spending the money on the tractor or the loader or the, what have you. I think it's just a big deal, It's not a big deal, but it is a big deal in the long and scheme of things. Pallet forks. Number 5 is pallet forks. I mean, pallet forks are a big deal, knowing which pallet fork to have. There are multiple different sizes, multiple different kinds. We put pallet forks on subcompact tractors. We put pallet forks on larger tractors. 100 horsepower and above. Put them on skid steers. You can get pallet forks that have the ability to lift 2,200 pounds. You got them that can handle 4,200 pounds. You got them that can handle 5,500 pounds. Now, so what do I recommend? So if you have a subcompact tractor, 35 horsepower, 40 horsepower tractor, I'd recommend a 2,200 pound lifting capacity. I mean, there's no need to get a 4,200 pound lifting capacity for a tractor that can't pick up 1,500 pounds. That don't make sense. You need to just buy the smaller subcompact pallet forks. Now if you're running a skid steer, 100 horsepower skid steer for say, you need to set a daggone 5,500 pound forks. And you need to think about different lengths. We offer different lengths of fork. You can get a 42, you can get a 48, you can get a 60, you can get a 72. I mean, all that stuff comes into play, and knowing all these options when buying pallet forks is a big deal for you, because you don't want to just go in there and say, hey, give me a set of pallet forks, and you might go into a pallet you're unloading from the back of your truck, and you didn't think about, well, dang, I could have asked for a 48, but I got a 42, and now it's a little bit short, and my daggum pallet's tippy. So knowing that you can have pallet forks of different weight classes, knowing that you can have pallet forks that have different lengths, and also knowing that you can have pallet forks that can fit pretty much anything, as far as a 4 or 500 carrier on a John Deere, a skid steer carrier, or Euro mount. These are the questions you need to be asking to your dealerships, and these are some, it's a big deal, it is. Also on pallet forks that a lot of guys don't know is we offer hydraulic pallet forks. So what I mean by hydraulic is typically most pallet forks are manual. You go out there, you slide them in the pallet. Let's say the holes are right here. You got to move everything in manually, and that's aggravating. You got to get off the tractor and you got to go and slide them over, and you don't have it greased, and you're fighting it, and it's raining outside. I mean, so if you're using a pallet fork on a regular basis, you may want to go with a hydraulic set that moves the forks manually in and out. So you can sit there in the tractor cab and with a skid steer, run them in and out like this. I really like that. I have a set myself. Have one on my tractor, and I have a set on my forklift, actually. And I won't ever go back the other way. Once you get a set of hydraulic pallet forks, that is the ticket right there for sure. Now, you say, well, Jesse, I got a tractor. I got a tractor, man. I can't put no hydraulic pallet forks on there. Well, you can. You just had to have a third function remote. Well, what is a third function remote? Well, a third function remote, basically, on your front end load of your tractor, it allows you to have another hydraulic circuit that runs down to the end of the boom of that, or end of the loader arm, I guess is a better word. And what it does, it allows for you to tie in to run a grapple, run these pallet forks in and out. So where you would hook in to run your grapple, you'd hook in to run these pallet forks to slide them in and out. So, that's a big deal. Pallet forks are a big deal, yeah. I mean, I think everybody in the land, that has any kind of land or a larger tract of land, needs a set of pallet forks. I mean, pick up logs with them, pick up pallets with them, just pick up your daggone car to change a tire. I mean, just the sky's the limit with a set of pallet forks. You just need them. Going back through this, I had 5 main items, like I said, that I really think you need. Grapple, number 1 for property maintenance. Which grapple do you need? A root grapple like we talked about, or a grapple rake. A box blade, or a land plane. Those are 2 options you need to ask your dealer when you're purchasing for your property. A rotary cutter or a finishing mower. And maybe both. Maybe you need both. A bucket, remember I said those bolt-on edges and them side cutters. Now you ask about that. Now it's a big deal. It's the longevity of that bucket. And pallet forks. What size pallet fork do I need? Length, weight. Do I want them hydraulic? Do I have the hydraulics to handle the hydraulic pallet forks? All those things. So in turn, guys, I'm gonna be doing this every week here. This is a very basic introductory podcast here, just to kind of show you, 5 good items for a landowner, contractor, farmer, anybody. Basic 5 items you need for land maintenance to put in your fleet if you're looking to get some attachments. So, hey, appreciate you guys tuning in. Have a wonderful night, and we'll see you next time.